opening statement before moving on to questions.
Had a great week of practice. I know we had a couple of days off since our last outing, but it's one of those things where you're able, as a staff, to regroup, as a program to regroup, give guys opportunity to heal some sort of like some aches and pains, but also you're able to just reset, and I think that's very important in a long 30-plus game season that you have these breaks, and our scheduling was done to create these opportunities. What's important is that we get back in the rhythm that we left out on, and I thought I saw those things in our practices this week from multiple guys. So excited about having a great program, University of Pacific, to come in, coached by Dave Smart, who's one of the best Canadian coaches, Hall of Fame coaches that ever coached up in Canada, and obviously one of the better coaches here. He was an assistant at Texas Tech, but won over 590 plus games up in Canada, and he has a great team that they've assembled in year one.
All right, questions?
Dennis, when you look over, you had this break and you were able to look over the first few games, maybe what was your biggest takeaway from what you saw in this first little portion of the season?
Growth. That was my biggest takeaway. We're not who we were at Memphis. I saw a team being able to put two halves of basketball together, gradually get used to each other, but also get used to game play. I think whenever you have a new group, as many guys as we have, as it relates to newcomers, they're getting used to each other. They're getting used to our style of play, and being able to just put two halves of basketball together is very important. But those are the things that I've recognized, just the growth and us being unselfish.
Are you worried about rotations, or like where are you at right now in terms of wanting to get rotations down, or how many guys you play, that kind of stuff?
The only worry, and I wouldn't look at it as a worry, as any coach, is not having a rotation, not having guys, because the season can bring about a lot of moments, meaning obstacles. We're in the weather in the season now where it's flu season, right? You want to have guys to be able to step up when someone is down, and I think in last year's past we didn't have that type of opportunity. When you look at the growth of your nucleus, we have a nucleus of guys who've been in a program for 1-2 years, and that's a positive. So rotation, I'd rather have a rotation and opportunity to play multiple guys than not. I've never had a short rotation in my coaching career as a longtime assistant at Florida State, nor as a head coach at Cleveland State, and as well as being here at Missouri. So for me, it's what has been successful, in my climb and in my career, and I'm excited about that.
Coach,
through 4 games, how much of that rotation has been experimental? How much of it has been kind of a learning curve for you about your team?
Our rotation has been intentional. I've been doing the same rotation of guys since we've gotten here. What I've done is I've had our veterans in a place where I know what they can do in their experience, and what is important is having Ant Robinson develop his leadership skills, and he has been the point guard in another unit. Although he started games, he's never practiced with the upperclassmen, because they can cover his weaknesses and make it a little bit easier as it relates to his development, and I didn't want that. The same with Hunter Boateng. Hunter Boateng's been in the starting lineup, but he's never been quote unquote on the team where he's not getting the reps. I want these guys to learn certain things, and that's what they've been learning all along. So for me, it's always been intentional, and our team has done a great job responding from those moments whenever their number has gotten called, to be able to step up and play the number of minutes and improve in the areas that they need to improve.
Yeah. Coach, what do you like about a longer rotation as opposed to a short? What have you seen throughout your career that helps there?
Well, what I think that helps is it allows guys to play maximum effort in between the lines from an exhaustion standpoint. It allows your team to have the depth in case of something else happening that we don't like happening, right? We don't like guys not being available, but if in fact guys were not available, you don't lose as much from multiple guys being in reference to that lineup. The other thing is your practices. Your practices are highly intense, and you sharpen each other's blade. You're able to improve. You see the improvement, and it's almost like having an adequate sparring partner. You have to be able to compete at a high level based off of what and how the athletes in the SEC as well as non-conference play are going to look, and that's what we do. Our walk-ons do a great job as well. Jeremy Sanchez, Danny Stevens, and J.V. Brown, those guys are some of our harder workers. They are great at what they do, and they are guys that have played and could play in the game right now if something was to happen. So for me, those guys being available at all times, they are the heartbeat in our practices, in addition to the depth of our guys just being out there and being new to our system.
Coach, how is this break for Tony Perkins? Do you feel like he got closer to 100% this week?
Yeah, Tony Perkins was practicing before the Mississippi Valley game. So he's, we're just going to play it day by day, game by game. But it's one of those things where I didn't want to put him in that situation. And I just more importantly wanted him to take the moment to step back, but also allow, once that previous question, we got another guy that's just as capable, that's able to play. And when you have that, you can make decisions for the big picture, not just the short term. What I do like is what I've seen from him before Mississippi Valley and what I've seen from him the last 2-3 days that we've been practicing.
Coach, when you have time like this early in the season to kind of look at your team, look at the rotations, look at this roster, how much is that a process of looking at maybe even 2 or 3 player combinations in kind of a smaller scale to say, okay, I want to see more of these 2 guys together and get them on the floor together versus a whole scale 5-player lineup?
I think there's a course of development that takes place. I know what we're going to get from Mark Mitchell, what we're going to get from Caleb Grill, what we're going to get from Tamar Bates. We know what we're going to get from those guys. It's about now having consistency around those guys that are going to be provided. We know what we're going to get from Josh Gray. Now, what is and how will our other guys be able to fill in? I think Ant Robinson is showing his growth. Trent Pierce is showing his growth. Our freshmen, they're showing their development, but also their growth. We have transfers that are showing their comfort level, Marquez Warwick and Jacob Cruz. We have different guys that has grown. Aiden Shaw has to become more consistent from a rebounding standpoint, shot blocking, raw athlete that we know he is. We got to see those plays multiple times, and those guys have opportunities to play, but we know what the core and nucleus of guys are and what they've done. Ant Robinson is solidifying himself as a core guy just because of how he impacts the game. So slowly but surely, you'll see those core guys really stand out, stand up, and you'll see that form by December, end of December, as we move into conference. And that's what the non-conference schedule is about, to prepare you for your conference play.
Marcus Allen seems to just slotted right in wherever you needed him to. He's played crunch time minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there a maturity about him that in the way he plays and that is uncommon for a freshman?
There's a confidence, a silent confidence, not an arrogance, a confidence about Marcus Allen, because I know what high school program he's played for, and whether it's prep over at AZ Campus or even Miami Norland. I think he has been coached a tremendous way that allows his defensive IQ to take over in games and be trusted. He's always in the right place. He can make the plays that may not show up in a stat sheet. He can defend multiple positions. And some kids aren't okay with that. Marcus Allen was recruited as one of the top two-way guys in the country, if not the best in that 24 class. We're happy to have him, and I'm excited to see what he continues to do between the lines. But slowly but surely, you see his minutes increase because he's not afraid to do dirty work. He's not afraid to impact the game with the little things, and he's going to continue to do that because that's what he does in practice every day.
There's time for one last question.
Coach, how do you feel like your team maybe changes when it's Josh Gray on the floor as the 5 versus someone like Aiden Shaw or Mark Mitchell playing in that spot?
Well, first, Josh Gray has played in this conference at a high level for the last 4 years. In addition to that, Josh Gray is 7 foot, 200 plus pounds, right? We see the shoulders, we see the muscles, we see how he can impact space with his strength. He's a great defender. The one thing that I would say is our field goal percentage defense goes down when he's in a game. The ability to rebound in traffic and make those plays. Whenever you have his width, meaning those shoulders, hips in the lineup, you are less likely to give up the points in the paint in different plays like that. And Peyton Marshall does a great job too, and he's learning. And what better, sort of position Peyton is in to be able to learn from a guy that at one point, rebound per minute, he was one of the tops in the country. And that gives Peyton a barometer to set for himself and also for his future. And that's about it. For me, everyone else gets better because of the ability to set a screen, whether it's a screen for a shooter or a ball screen. The presence of him rolling to the basket, being able to draw or have the gravity of a defense to be aware of them. I think those things are important. You cannot underestimate the impact of size, strength, especially in our conference, and the ability to defend at a different level, and that's what Josh Gray gives us.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, MIZ.